Everyone, this is Direwolf20, and welcome to episode 58 of Direwolf20's Let's Play of Minecraft 1.21. Today, I've got good news. I determined that the bug where my tools didn't ever take any durability damage was not on me, because it also happens to vanilla pickaxes. So I just disenchanted a vanilla pickaxe, and guess what? No durability damage. I actually saw in the next version of Industrial Foregoing, this bug is fixed. So, was not me. Didn't think it was me, but confirmed it was me. Get out of my basement. What do you think you're doing? So, today's plan is I'd like to get into a new mod called Pneumaticraft. It's one of my favorites. I play with Pneumaticraft a lot. I think it's a really cool mod, mostly because it has its own power system called compressed air. The power system is unique and different and fun and cool to play with. In addition, it has a bunch of cool and fun things in it that you can do with Pneumaticraft. Like there's a lot of cool things in Pneumaticraft. It's, in my opinion, a very underrated mod. Like just the drone system alone is super cool. You can make programmable drones that like do all kinds of cool like automation-y stuff. Like really, really cool mod. Frankly, like I said, underappreciated, super good. So we're gonna get into it today. And I think because it's not hard to get into, but like, there's a little bit of complexity to it. And I think that, some people shy away from that. But in my opinion, super fun mod. So we're gonna take a look at getting into Pneumaticraft today. So let's get started. To get started, we're going to need some iron. How am I on iron these days? Not great. Not terrible. Could be better. Haven't entirely decided what we're going to do about automating iron and such. Should probably do something. I don't know what, but we should probably do something. I could set up like a paradox machine type deal, or I could do. I mean, there's a lot of things I could do, right, to get iron cooking a little bit better. Because I always feel like I'm low on iron, and I don't know if that's just because I've been playing with just dire things, which in fairness is a little bit iron heavy. A lot of people have commented on that. I don't disagree. I just don't. I agree that it's a little bit iron heavy, but we'll see. So to get started with Pneumaticraft, you're going to need some compressed iron. And there's two ways to make compressed iron. Number one is explode iron. If you place iron next to an explosion, and there's a few things you can do for this. You can do wheat flour. You can do also blocks, but I'll do the ingots. You can get compressed iron. Okay. Option two is a pressure chamber, which is cool, except to make pressure chambers, you're going to need compressed iron. So step one in Pneumaticraft is make compressed iron. You know what? I can probably just sneak over to the end to do this. We'll just do it out here because I don't care if I make a mess. Make sure magnet must be off because it would have magneted by now, so that's cool. Backing away. All right. Now, do note that there's a bit of loss when it comes to the explosion crafting. So there's like a 10-ish% chance that the item will be destroyed instead of converted. So like convert a bunch and you're gonna lose some. Them's the breaks, kids. All right, so let's get cooking with Pneumaticraft. First thing you want to make in Pneumaticraft is the pressure chamber. The pressure chamber is the first and primary crafting mechanic of the mod. There's a couple other things in the mod that go towards crafting, but the pressure chamber, it actually serves two purposes. One, it is a crafter, and two, it's a battery. It's a battery for the air pressure. So the way this mod works is you create generators that create air pressure, and the air pressure is used to power machines. That's about it. Pretty straightforward. The pressure chamber is like a big air pressure battery. It stores a whole lot of air and will allow you to store a bunch of air pressure. And in addition, it's used to craft things. So we're going to start with air compressors. And we're going to go ahead and teach the A system like a bunch of recipes here. Mostly because that sounds like a good time. Okay. So I will probably teach you how to make pressure chamber glass along with pressure chamber interfaces, which are important, and pressure chamber valves, and pressure chamber walls. Now, while we're at it, the valves, we should probably teach it how to make pressure chamber tubes. Those are going to be important as well. Now, do we know how to make most everything here? We do. I believe we are good to go. So I like to have the AE system be able to make almost everything that I'm working towards because, you know, it'll be a lot easier to do this. Because a lot of these crafting steps require, like, multiple steps. Now, the pressure chamber can be of many different sizes. I think I want to do like a 5x5. I think that's the standard size I go with. Does it tell you here? 3x3x3, 4x4x4, or 5x5x5. Yeah, and that's internal space, right? Yeah, that's internal space. So what I would do is like 25 on the bottom and top, and then let's say 3 times 4 is 12. So that's 50, 62. Am I mathing that right? Oh, and we're short on compressed iron. Really? We need that much compressed iron? No. No. We need 4. We didn't put any in the system. Okay, cool. Before I do that, let's do, I think it's going to be a 3x3, right? Yeah, so that's 9 times 4 is 36. Cool. And then 62 walls. Cool. And then we'll grab a valve, which I think makes 2 at a time. Or actually makes a bunch at a time, right? And then we're going to want one of you. Yep, so there's some valves, and there's some interfaces, and that'll be a good start. Do I need the wrench? I don't think can I make the wrench yet? Pneumatic wrench? I can. Yes. Might as well. Yes? How am I for welded spikes? I have enough that I can do 1, right? Just so I can have the pneumatic wrench ready to go. Hey, let's talk about tools. That's funny. I told you I was going to make this side of the room Pneumaticrafty, and that's where I'm going to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have like the pressure chamber probably kind of centered around here-ish, and then we'll expand out in this direction to different areas that will you know, wind up making other things from this mod. Cool? And we might utilize like the basement a little bit, but we'll figure that out. Cool? Alright, so pressure chamber walls, valves, and interfaces. You know, I should have something in Just Iron Things that's a multi-block. I've never coded a multi-block mechanic, so I can't imagine it's that hard. So many mods have it, right? So it can't be, like, that hard to make. But, I'm just... So you, sir, let's go ahead and have you set to a 2x2, or a 5x5 hammer. I want this, like, well, do I want it in the floor, or do I want it sitting on top? I guess I could set it on top. Yeah, let's set it on top. Now, is that sufficient? Or do I want that to be maybe 1 out from there? Is that cutting it a little bit close to the wall? Yeah, I'm going to push it back. Like I said, I'm trying to make things look nice this season, right? How does that seem? Seems pretty good to me. Okay. And then pressure chamber glass. And I could be doing this with a building gadget, to be fair, but it's not that complex of a craft, of a build. And this is the smaller size, right? So this could have been 3x3 internal or 5x5 internal. Okay. Now I'm pretty sure you require a valve, and then boom, we've got a very nice multi-block pressure chamber. So, oh, this does count as a 5x5? I guess 5x5 was the external dimensions. I always forget. Some mods, when they say 5x5, they mean 5x5 internal dimensions. Like, this is a 3x3 internal, but it's a 5x5 external. I don't remember which mods do which. There's not really a standard there. Now, in addition to this, we're going to want input and output valves. So that's cool. Okay. No problems. Importing items. Exporting items. Cool. So blue is your input, orange is your output, and it's ready to insert stuff. So this guy's pretty cool. We'll start with hoppers, but we'll go, and make that better in a bit. But the basic gist is to craft things, you have to insert them via these pressure chamber interfaces. Okay. So really pretty simple. You put items in, and the pressure inside the machine will craft it. Now there's a bunch of recipes for this thing, like many recipes. Some we will be using throughout the series, others not as much. Now the trick with this is different recipes require different levels of pressure. For example, this recipe needs you to have at least 2.5 bars of pressure in there, whereas this recipe requires 2. So different recipes require different pressures. That said, if you get into the red zone, there's a chance of explosion and bad things happening. So we don't want to get to the red zone. You'll notice we currently have 0 bars of pressure because we're not actually running the machine at all. Cool. So let's go ahead and get ourselves an air compressor, and that's generally how we start this thing. That should be cool, and good to go. Cool. All right, where do I want to lay out the air pressure dudes? How about we put them, like, back here? I don't know if I've ever done it this way before, but we're going to want some tubes, some pressure tubes, and then I'll talk to you about air pressure and how important that is to pay attention to. Okay? So air pressure should not leak, because it is literally air pressure. Like, you don't want it to leak out. So every tube that you place needs to be connected to a machine in some way. And I'll demonstrate what happens. So I'm going to grab just a piece of coal. Now, I'm not going to use any dire coal of the Just Dire Things variety, because it's not going to have any benefit besides burning longer. And these air compressors, you can toggle them on and off with redstone, but what that does is it toggles on and off the consuming of coal. So, like, it will eat a piece of coal and then run for a few seconds. If you give it a redstone signal, it will keep running. And it will not turn off until it burns through the last piece of coal that it ate. So giving it better and higher tiers of coal from Just Dire Things would actually be a bad idea. So don't do that. So you can see we're building up pressure. You can see it on the tooltip up there. You can see it on this guy. We've got 0.07 bars of pressure so far. So not, particularly exciting amount, but it's getting there. And you'll see pressure kind of like travels through the tubes. So, like, we've got a little bit more pressure over here than over here, but it'll eventually stabilize and balance. Now, if there's a break in the tube, like so, you'll see the air pressure leaks out, and then we lose pressure, right? So we can see, like, we lost a little bit of pressure from doing that. Not good, right? So it's going to take a while for air pressure to build up from just one compressor. So my recommendation is to make a couple compressors. And that's, kind of a smart play. And that's what we're going to do. Bing, bing. Cool. Easy peasy. So what I'm going to do is grab, some coal. We'll get, like, this many. You'll be that, and that, and that. And now all 3 of these guys are producing some pressure. Now there's higher tier machines, and there's also upgrades that we can install to speed this up. But that's going to come a little bit later. In terms of compressors, there's also advanced compressors. There's advanced liquid compressors. There's flux compressors, which use forge energy. Ooh, there's a solar compressor now. Oh, that's cool. And I think that's new. That's neat. Should try that one out. That should be able to do thermal compressor. That's cool. Converts temperature differentials on sides of the block to compressed air. Place a high temperature block on one side of the compressor and a low temperature block on the opposite side. Okay. That's cool. Neat. That's actually kind of nifty. Okay. Where else was I? So that's air pressure. That's building up. And now we're slowly but surely building up pressure inside this machine. Cool. Now what we should do is measure the pressure in here and turn this off at an appropriate time. So And this is an automation you want to do early on, because if you don't, well, if you just let these things run, if you just have them on all the time, eventually the pressure will go beyond 5. And any machine, you can see kind of here like the max pressure on the right, 5 bars is the max. If you keep letting these run, it will go beyond 5, and then you'll have some kind of catastrophic explosion. Generally, the pipes will burst, and then all the air pressure will leak out. So you want to make sure that don't happen. So to really make sure that don't happen, we're going to set up a little bit of automation. So there's a couple ways we could like avoid that. One is a thing that will automatically leak some air. Safety tube module, this guy. This module will prevent high pressure air. If the tube pressure reaches 4.9, although this prevents explosion, released air is energy loss and waste fuel. When upgraded with a module expansion card, the threshold can be controlled precisely in the GUI. So that's one way to handle it. Okay, the safety tube module will automatically release air if things get too high. The one I like to use, though, is the pressure tube gauge. This thing is a little bit more tricky, but it ain't bad. What it'll do is emit a redstone signal, the strength of which depends on the tube's pressure. When upgraded with module expansion card, which we'll get into later, you can do other cool stuff. Okay, so what I'll probably do, maybe both. Maybe I should make both. So I'm going to get 2 of you. One for a safety tube module. I think we could have a stack of levers at this point, right? That probably wouldn't be too bad. And one for this. And that would be cool. Okay. And then we're going to need some redstone. And you guys can go into the A system for now. And I should probably get a few more tubes, but yeah, that's easy peasy. Cool. Okay. So generally what I'll do is put this here. And you'll see the pressure is 0.33 out of 5 bars. And if I remember correctly, it emits a redstone every half of a bar by default. Now, we can upgrade these pressure tubes later on to have fine-grained control over when that's going to happen. But for now, this will do. So once this hits 0.5, it'll be emitting a redstone signal of 1. And once it hits 1, it's going to be emitting a redstone signal of 2. 1.5 would be 3, 2 would be 4. So basically, take the amount of pressure and divide by 2. Pretty sure that's how it works. So what we want to do is when we hit 9, we want to stop, right? Because that would be 4.5 bars of pressure. And that's bad news time. Cool. Now, quick note, you can totally tick accelerate to speed these things up a little bit, and they'll build up their pressure a little bit more. That said, they will not necessarily transmit through the pipes faster, because each pipe has to, like, you know, get a little bit better. But you can see here we're now at 0.5, and it hit the 1, so that's cool, right? So don't overdo it on the tick accelerating, because what will happen is the pressure will build up inside this machine, and it won't traverse into the tube fast enough, and then the machine will explode. So don't overdo it on tick accelerating, but you totally can tick accelerate. All right, I may have double-clicked that by mistake a little bit too much. See? And, like, you know, we're getting to some crazy stuff here, right? So now that we're at 1.3, yeah, you're emitting 2. Okay, that's cool. Pressure tube. When we hit 1.5, I expect you to go to 3. Why are you not? That's a super good question. Oh, because your pressure's not really quite there? Yeah. I think your pressure's not really there. We're actually right at 1 now-ish. Okay. Cool. Neat. So I wonder what we got by way of redstone. Like, is there anything we can do to, like, measure the exact state or the exact number? That's a really good question. That's a really good question. I'm looking for something. So we have this dude, right? Latch, pulse gate, red wire posts. I don't know if there's anything in here that can, like, measure the strength and only emit a signal of a certain strength is coming out. What I normally do is just, like, run a really long redstone cable thing. don't know what this does. It's a whole long, complicated name, so I feel like maybe it's a complicated machine. But, I don't know. Simplified PLC-like controller. It's cool. I don't know what that means either. Redstone relay. Pulse relay. Simple full block glass gauge that shows its received redstone signal, insulates signals. It's cool. I did like these. These things are neat. I guess we can see what this does. I don't know what this means, but we're going to find out because I'm going to make it. What do you do? Oh my goodness. That is a little bit more complex than I thought it was going to be. I might have to read this for a minute. This may or may not be what I want, but I guess we'll see. I think this actually can do what I want. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but if I do that, we should see R equals... I may need to do this. Oh, hello. R is 2. That is correct. R is 2. R greater than or equal to 4 point... No. Greater than or equal to 9? Maybe? Something like that? All right, I think I can do this. Let's see. So yellow is equal to if R is greater than or equal to 9, 15, 0. Okay, so now if I set you to 3, this should be emitting a redstone signal of 15. If I... Look at that, it worked! That's cool. Okay. All right. So now if I make it 4, and say I want it to emit a redstone signal of 12, right? When this gets to 4 bars of pressure, he will emit a redstone signal of 12. Cool. Right. Or, yeah, right. Like it'll get there. Give it a sec. I don't know why this is like updating in a weird way, because it's not updating correctly. I think it's being weird. But like we know this pressure isn't really that, so I don't know. Oh, look, it did it. And it emitted a redstone signal 12. Beautiful. Okay, that's not so bad. So the gist, it's complicated programmery stuff, but hopefully I can explain this in a very simple way. Basically, you write a method and you say, these are the colors right here. Okay. So like Y is the yellow output, right? So like yellow. And R is red. Okay. So right now it's telling you R is receiving a 4, which is accurate, and yellow is emitting a 12, which is accurate. Basically, if you assign a value to a color, so Y equals, it's going to emit what you want it to emit, right? So like if I said Y equals 11 and then ran this, it would just emit 11 no matter what, right? So like super, very basic, right? If I wanted it to be 5 and told to run, it would emit a redstone signal of 5. Very, very simple and straightforward. You can also compare values. So you can be like, is R greater than or equal to? Is R equal to? Is R less than? Like that kind of stuff, right? And there's an example on the screen at the very bottom that shows you exactly what I wrote, right? So on that one, it says emit on green, and it's using an if statement. So like down here, there's a logical and or edge detection timers, functional reference, cool. Timers, edge detection, logical, relational, arithmetic. I guess functional reference is where you're at. So if the if statement is if some value is true, then assign a value, otherwise assign the other value. So the way my if statement that I wrote a minute ago worked was basically saying if R is greater than or equal to 9, emit a signal of 15, otherwise emit a signal of 0. Okay. Cool. Now, if I wanted to, I could emit like a lower signal, right? So like we could say if it's greater than or equal to 3, emit a signal of 15, otherwise a signal of 9, right? So like right now, because it's greater than or equal to 3, it's actually a 4, it's emitting a signal of 15, right? If I made this 5, right? Now, because it's not greater than or equal to 5, instead of emitting 15, it should be emitting 9. Got it? Cool. That's neat. I like that. That's cool. Okay, so what I'm going to actually do is write this as 9, 15, 0. And what that should do is if he gets a signal strength of 9, which would be 4.5 bars, he will emit a signal strength here of 15, which should, in theory, do cool stuff. Okay. Now I want you guys to run on low signal. Okay. Low signal. Low signal. And we're going to use... I'm going to use laser IO here because I'm also going to be inserting coal into these guys eventually. Okay. Because we're going to want to hook up a thingy here to get coal going. Okay. So let's use laser IO for this purpose. Okay. Okay. So you're going to be down to here. You guys are all going to be linked. Okay. So what we're going to have is a... How am I for redstone cards? I have enough. Right? So you're going to be an input on... Let's do channel black for like coal and charcoal. Right? Right? So you're going to be... You'll notice it's not currently on. Right? And then on the ups... We will have an output weak signal black, up, output weak signal black. On the up, we will do an output weak signal black. Cool? All right. Now, if I wanted to, if I put a lever above this thing, that'll work, right? Yes. Awesome. So there's your manual control, right? So when I'm applying a redstone signal here, they should not be allowed to run anymore. Now this is the note that I was showing you. Am I that low on coal? How am I for charcoal? Not terrible, but not quite where I thought I would be. Why am I so low on coal? Have I not been like getting coal? Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I haven't automated coal in any kind of meaningful way, have I? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Not a big deal. Okay. So let's just do you. Now you'll notice nobody's running, right? Except this guy who's still running from the coal he had in number 4, but then once he runs out, he's going to stop. Okay. Now, the good news about pressure is it's not going to dissipate on its own. So all this pressure is just going to chill here and like still function, which is nice, right? So now I turn you off, and these guys are all allowed to run again. Cool? All right, good deal. So that's a fun little redstone lot. You can do some pretty complex stuff with this. But it's one of those, it falls into the category of like, do you want to like write code, and it can get complicated, but I bet it could be really cool. Really complex stuff. I like it. That's neat. Nice job, Redstone Pen Mod. That's awesome. All right, so now you're good to go. Let's make some more compressed iron. So in theory, I should be able to make compressed iron. In a cool way. Now, what I do want to get is I want laser IO to do this transferring rather than a hopper. I changed my mind on it. And I'll tell you why. The way this works is this door is open. When you put iron in here, it's going to close this door and open the other side of the door to let the iron in there. but you're going to lose a little bit of pressure when you do that, because then this door opens back up and the pressure, like, leaks a little bit for a few seconds. So the more opening and closing of doors you do, the more pressure you lose. So you want to insert items as quickly as possible. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to extract 64 items every second. Okay, doesn't have to be every tick. Every second is more than enough. Okay, and that's it. And then on this side, we're going to insert. Bada bing, bada boom. So now when I put these 16 in there, it moved all 16 in there. And you'll notice we'll probably lose a little bit of pressure. See, when it happened? So like the door opening and closing loses pressure. The crafting loses a little bit of pressure. And then we can have a chest on this side for this dude to output to. Now, in general, I think by default, do they auto output by default nowadays? Yep. Awesome. So by default, this thing auto exported anything that it crafted, which is pretty much 9 times out of 10 where you want to leave this setting at. But if you want to tweak that, you can. Cool. All right, so I think we have a good system here. So you're going to sit there. You're going to build up pressure happily. I will need to figure a little something out here. What I think I will do is probably just have an interface sitting on the ground here. And your job will be to hold charcoal. Let's say 32. Okay. Now we're exporting charcoal blocks on the other side of the thing, right? So my assumption is when we get like a piece of charcoal at a time, it will get exported here before it gets turned into a block. See, we had 8 in the system. That wasn't enough to make a block, so it hadn't yet. So we got the charcoal here before it got converted into a block and exported for my dire coal system, right? So that's cool. All right, so then on the down, we're going to have more item cards. That's what I'm going to need. Got enough? I do. Okay, so on the up will be an insert on the black channel. We're going to filter charcoal, let's say 4. Okay, you know what I'm going to use? I'm going to use my card cloner for this. Do I have one of those? I don't know if I do, but we're about to make one. All right, now can I remember how I configured this guy? Left click. Did I make an extra card holder? I did. Dire, please. That's supposed to be a card cloner. All right, on the up, copy with a left click. Okay, and then over here on the up, right click to paste. And you'll notice it took one of my counting filters and it brought everything across, right? That's cool. Up, right click to paste. Cool? Okay. And then on the down can be an extract 4 items at a time on the black channel. And what that should do now is keep 4 charcoal in stock across the board. Now, we still have some leftover charcoal from what I manually put in there, but let's see what happens. So it should burn through the 4 and then insert 1 more. And I'm going to call that wrapping up point for the episode. So for now, Del20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll keep these guys going. For now, take it easy.